Welcome back, folks. Today we're talking about one of the games that's been in our collection for a really long time, Smash Up. And I got my buddy Isaac here today. What we're going to do is we're going to tell you about some of our favorite factions in the game Smash Up. But before we do that, let me just explain a little bit about how this game works. This is a card-driven game where you get two different factions. And there's a whole variety of factions, and you smash them up. You shuffle them together, and then you compete against each other to try to control different bases. So this is one of my son Kyle's favorite games. He loves games where there's a lot of conflict, a lot of head-to-head combat. So this game is like that. You're going to compete against the other players, and you're going to be trying to take out their players, and you're going after each other constantly. In the base game, there are 8 basic factions. And so we don't usually buy a lot of expansions for games, but this is one game that we've actually bought a lot of expansions for. Because you can play the 8 base factions in the regular game for a while, and you'll have different combinations. But the real fun in this game is when you get lots and lots of different factions. The more factions you have, the more variety, and it just makes it a lot more fun. So there's a whole bunch of these smaller boxes that you can get with different factions. And typically when you buy one of these expansions, it'll come with 4 new factions, and you can just mix them in with your other ones and get all kinds of new combinations and explore new factions. So what Isaac and I are going to do is we're going to go through and do a quick little draft here where we each pick 5 of our favorite factions. And we haven't talked about this ahead of time, so he may pick the same ones as me. But we're going to show off some of our favorite factions in the game Smash Up. So Isaac, you get to go first. If you were to pick, and we're just picking out of the factions that we have, okay? We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 or 6 expansions to this game. So in total, we've probably got about 30 factions or 35 factions. So Isaac, what's your favorite one?
My number 1 is the Frenzy Plants.
Really? The Killer Plants?
Yeah. I really like them because you can grab copies of the cards you already have and just get more and more of them. And some of them are really strong, like this one where it's 5, and you can just play it, has no downside.
So in this game, on your turn, you essentially get to play 2 cards. There are 2 types of cards in this game. There are minions, and then there are actions. And on your hand, or on your turn, you can play 1 minion and then 1 action. And at the bottom of each card, there's a special ability or a special feature that it triggers. So when you play that card, it may allow you to do something else, which you may get to play another minion, you get to play another action, you can add some strength points to your different people, allows you to do different things. So do you have a favorite card in the Killer Plants?
Mine is the main card, the Venus Mantrap. Talent, search your deck for a minion of power 2 or less and play it here as an extra minion. Shuffle your deck. It just gives you more cards, which I really like those kind of cards.
I'm surprised you picked that one. That was actually one of the ones that would have probably been in my top 5 as well. It's sort of a underrated faction, I think, but it's pretty powerful. All right, my number 1 faction. Isaac said he thought he knew it. Are you going to take a guess?
The Sharks.
The Sharks, yeah. The Sharks are my favorite faction for sure. I've always loved the water. I've loved the shark. I love the ocean and stuff. The Sharks are my favorite. And one of my favorite cards is this action called freaking Laser Beams. And it's a sort of paying homage to Austin Powers when Dr. Evil says that he wants sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads. So this is my favorite card in all of Smash Up, is a shark with freaking laser beams. But they also have a Megalodon, which is pretty awesome. And they have these Mako sharks that allow you, it's kind of like, there's chum in the water. Some of the themes of these are pretty cool. Like when one of your sharks eats another player's guy, then you can add a Mako shark, and because it's like a frenzied thing. So good guess. Yeah, sharks are one of my favorites for sure. All right, Isaac, what's another one of yours?
My number 2 is the Dragons. I like the Dragons because they decrease the power points of other players. Like this action card, you play it on a base. Other players' minions here have -1 power. And I just really like those kind of cards. But the Imperial Dragon is one of my favorites. ongoing after another player plays or moves a minion here, draw a card. So you can just keep adding to your hand, which I really like.
I would say that the dragons were probably one of my least favorite. I don't mind playing the dragons. I hate to go up against the dragons
Yeah,
because
I like 'em.
they make things slower. A lot of times, like if you win a base, they'll subtract 1 victory point, and winning a base in this game is really hard, and it takes a while to do. So if you're working, trying to get those 4 points, and then the dragon there gives you -1, it's like really deflating. So the dragons are one of the factions I hate going up against them because they're pretty tough.
Yeah, I like it because even if you have like 2 points on a base, you can just get everybody down a lot of points, so you can still get a bunch of points from
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the dragons are pretty tough. Good choice, good choice. All right, next up for me is going to be the Steampunks. And the Steampunks are one of the expansions that we picked up. The Sharks was an expansion too, and the Dragons. So all the ones we've talked about so far have come in different expansions. I like the Steampunks first because their theme is kind of cool, but also they just seem to be pretty balanced. In some of these different factions, they have like really strong minions and then really weak minions. Some of them have good minions, but then their actions aren't very good. The Steampunks I like because they're pretty balanced. They got decent minions, decent actions. Have you ever played them?
I don't like playing them. I think they're too complicated.
Yeah.
I just like either big powerhouses or just like kind of like the -1s or ones that get you extra cards.
Yeah. Yeah, Steampunks, I like them a lot. All right, what's your next one, Isaac?
My number 3 is the dinosaurs.
That's the one I was going to pick next.
Yeah, this is the faction I won my first game with. My favorite card is the King Rex, just worth 7 points, nothing else. Absolutely destroys everybody. But I like these ones because, again, they're just a powerhouse. You just keep getting up there in points so you can get the max amount of points from the bases.
Yeah, the dinosaurs are part of the base set, and that was actually truly going to be my next pick too, because I love that King Rex card. For most of the factions, the biggest minion you're going to get is worth 5 points. Like, that's the most powerful one. But the King Rex is like the most powerful in the whole deck.
I think it's the only card in the entire, like, all expansions that's worth 7 points.
Yeah, it doesn't have a special ability, it's just sheer power. Because it's a T-Rex with like rocket launchers on its back.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome. But yeah, the dinosaurs, they're all about power. Like, they just keep adding more and more and more power. So they're fun to play because you don't have to think too much.
My favorite combo is the dragons and dinosaurs. Because you get the dinosaurs that get you a bunch of points and the dragons that lowers everybody else's points. So you get all the points from the bases.
Yeah, that's a pretty good combo. Alright, so my next faction is going to be the Geeks.
Really?
Yeah, the Geeks.
I don't like the Geeks.
Yeah, the Geeks are hard. There's some things I like. First of all, I just think it's kind of cool that they made a board game with a Board Game Geek faction. I think that's kind of neat. The one thing, there's a card in here that I don't like where you have to basically name a card in somebody else's deck.
That one I'm not.
It's hard because, especially if you're playing with some new factions that you don't know every single card in the deck, it's really hard. But like, I think if you name the card and then they have to get rid of it or something.
Yeah, it's like if they have to put it at the bottom of their deck.
Yeah.
So they can't use it.
But in order to play it, you have to know like every single card that's in play.
So if I had the dinosaurs, he can name the King Rex, and I wouldn't be able to get it for the rest of the game.
Right, but there's only one King Rex in your whole deck, so
I could have used it already. So it wouldn't be in
usually I pick like cards that I remember, and that there's multiples of that card.
I'm most familiar with the original because we played it the most. So.
Yeah, but I think it kind of makes sense, like, because if you're a board game geek, you're gonna know every single card. Yeah, so I just think this is a really cool faction because it's such a unique sort of ability compared to some of the other ones. All right, so what are we on? Is this your fourth one?
Yeah.
All right.
My number 4 is the Greek gods. I like them because they just have so many different abilities, and my favorite one's probably the Spartan. Place 1 extra power to counter on this minion after the first time you play an action on your turn. So the more action you play, the more powerful your minions get. I always like this one.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that one too. It's they got some pretty good actions. I think it's pretty balanced too. It's got good power, but it's got some good actions.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty solid one all the way around. All right, Greek Gods. Any guesses on my last two? I'll
I
give
think you like the pirates.
Yeah, I like the pirates. I like the theme, but they're kind of weak.
Yeah.
Like they move around a lot, and they're kind of weak. Actually,
I don't know.
my last two are from newer ones. You might not even seen them yet. One of them is from the 70s expansion, and it's the Vigilantes.
Never played that one.
So we got this 70s expansion that has one faction is the truckers, one is the kung fu fighters, the disco dancers, and the Vigilantes. So it's all 70s theme, which I think is kind of cool because I grew up in the 70s. But I really like this faction because it's a throwback to old like movies from the 70s. So even the artwork, you know, they have a guy called Brojack that's supposed to be Kojak, and they have Dirty Harry and Charles Bronson and all these guys from these vigilante movies in the 70s, which is pretty cool. They have Shaft. They call him Shift, but you know, it's pretty cool. The Rockford Files. You can see all these 70s shows. So for me, there's like, it just reminds me of when I was a kid. Plus, the faction's pretty cool because they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
They got some pretty good tough guys in there too. So I really like the Vigilantes. All right, what's your last one?
My last one's the princesses.
Really?
I like them because they have so many fives.
Yeah.
They have like 4 fives, I think. But the Mary de Gras, her talent is reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a minion, draw it. Otherwise, place it at the bottom. So you can just get more minions.
Lots of minions.
Which I like.
I think I only played the princesses once. They're definitely strong. They have a bunch of minions of
Yeah, they got
value
a
5.
bunch of 5s.
Yeah, so they're pretty strong. All right, the last one, and this is one of the most recent ones that I've played. It's like one of the newest ones I've played. Is actually the Luchadors.
I've never played one of those ones.
This is from the international expansion, and actually I think this is the only one I've played so far out of that expansion.
Yeah, I haven't played against it or played as it.
Yeah, so it comes with the Musketeers, the Canadian Mounties, which are kind of cool because it's like these Canadian soldiers with machine guns on horseback, sumo wrestlers, and then the Luchadors, which are Mexican wrestlers that wear these masks. But the thing that I really like about this faction is when you play actions, you're like setting somebody up for a move, and then when you play the minion, you actually execute the move. So like if you want to close...
It's like a combo.
Yeah, a combo. When you want to clothesline somebody, right, you got to do an action. You throw them up against the ropes first, and then you play your other card and you come and you clothesline them. So I think this faction is super cool because of the way the actions and the minions work together. Just like, you know, tag team wrestling kind of. Yeah. So it's really cool. So are there any factions that you really don't like in this game?
Tornadoes are my least favorite faction in the entire game. I just don't like them because they just move stuff around and it just messes everything up. Because I never like playing as them because they're not really that strong.
Yeah.
And I don't like going up against them because they just ruin my entire plan.
Yeah. The tornadoes, as you might imagine, they just move stuff all over. I don't really like playing them either. I think they're pretty weak.
Yeah.
But you can cause a lot of chaos for other people, but it's hard to win, I think, with the tornadoes. And the pirates are like that, too. The pirates, because they're sailing, they're like moving all over the place, but they're not very strong. One of the factions that I can't stand, and I think this is one of Levi's favorites, is the Wizards. The Wizards come with the base game, and the whole deal with the Wizards is when you play actions, it's constantly giving you more actions.
When somebody has the Wizards, you know they're gonna sit there for 5 minutes just playing a bunch of actions.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like this faction, because it slows the game down. One of the downsides of this game is, in between turns, like after I play my turn, I'm basically sitting there waiting. And there's nothing I can really do on other people's turns.
See, what I try to do is I try to plan what my next turn is, but based off what other people do, it can screw that up, so I don't really plan anything.
And some of the factions have special cards, like the ninjas, you know.
Yeah, or you can like jump in right as a base.
Yeah, that you can play a special card on somebody else's turn, but that doesn't happen very much. So a lot of times you're just sitting around waiting, and there's not much you can do on other people's turns. Which is why I usually only play this game with 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
Because if you have more than 4 players,
It's just way too long.
Yeah, it's too long, and there's too much downtime, and you're just sitting around, waiting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't like the Wizards, because they just stretch things out. It's like play an action. Okay, that allows me to pick a card, play another action, and everybody else is just sitting there like twiddling their thumbs.
They can be good. It's just
yeah, they're good. The zombies are another one too.
I like the zombies. They're
I like
my number
I like
6.
playing them because they're really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like playing against them because with the zombies you can pull a lot of cards from your discard pile, and so I just think they're a little too strong.
Yeah, I feel like they could take some cards out of there.
Yeah, because like there's like the Tenacious Z, you can just keep pulling that back over and over and over, and it's like you can never get rid of them, which makes sense from a theme standpoint.
But they're just
it kind of stinks going up against. Any other ones? Oh, the Truckers. I like the Truckers. Isaac said he didn't like this one.
They're just
It's got like a Smokey and the Bandit. This was from that 70s expansion too. The thing about the Truckers is you got to kind of know how to play them, because their big advantage is hauling stuff, convoy. So you can like pick up minions and move them to other bases, and so you kind of have to know how to play these. The Ghosts are like that too.
Yeah, the Ghosts are too confusing. The one faction I hate going up against is the Gnomes.
Oh yeah.
They're just
what are they actually called?
They're called the
Tricksters. I call them the Leprechauns.
Yeah, it's like after you, like if somebody destroys one of their cards, then they get the benefit, like draw a card or something like that, and it always annoys me.
Yeah, they are.
Because you never want to get rid of their minions, because it could either hurt you or help them, either way.
Well, that's another one though, like it makes sense because they're tricksters and they're supposed to be annoying, The Ghosts that we were talking about, in this game a lot of times the more cards you have the better, because it gives you more options and you can do more things. The whole point with the Ghosts is you're trying to keep your hand small and get rid of cards. And so this is like the exact opposite of the way you usually have to play.
I always thought the Ghosts and Zombies were good, because if you just put the Zombies in the discard pile from the Ghosts, then you could just get the Zombies back out while you're still having the benefits of the Ghosts.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never tried playing them together. The only other one I mentioned is the Bear Cavalry. These are like the Russian bear soldiers. This is a faction that I want to love because the artwork is really cool and they seem really powerful, but I'm terrible. Like, I stink with these guys.
I'm not good with those.
I've never won a game where I've had the Bear Cavalry.
I never thought of a good combo with those.
Yeah.
Because, like, you move stuff around, but I never thought, what is good with the bears?
Yeah, I've never had any luck.
My 6, 7, and 8 were the Sharks that you chose. I knew you were choosing them.
Yeah.
The Zombies were my 7, and then the Ninjas were my 8.
Oh, the Ninjas. Yeah, the Ninjas are cool. The only thing I don't like about the Ninjas is they kill a lot of other players' minions, and what happens is, in order to get a base to score, it has to reach a certain threshold, a certain number of points. And if you're killing off the other guys, it'll never score because you have to basically score it yourself. That's one of the downsides with the Sharks too, is they're killing other people all the time.
I'm fine with that. If you get if I can get the Ninjas and the Dinosaurs, and I just get rid of other people's minions, and I just get a bunch of points on one base, I'm the only one who gets points from it. So I kind of like it, and I kind of don't, because it takes longer, so I don't get as many points over time.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely ones that are my favorites, and some other ones that I don't care for. A lot of them, I haven't played them enough to really know.
Yeah, I haven't played, like, those 4.
Yeah, we have some newer factions that we haven't tried yet, so we're going to try to get this back to the table and try out some of those new ones and see what we think of them. Okay, so I mentioned that we have close to 30 factions in Smash Up. Somebody gave us this giant box. It's called the Bigger Geekier Box. And this is, like, if you're a huge Smash Up person and you wanted to collect every single faction, first of all, it'd be a pretty major investment of cash, but this is a giant box that you could put all the factions. We don't actually use it because it's a little too big for us, but it's still pretty cool. And the person who gave it to us, it actually had 2 other factions that came with it. But there are almost 30 other factions that we don't have. And one of the cool things in this big giant box is it came with these little plastic dividers that show all the other factions. so that when you get those, you can add them to your collection. So what Isaac and I are going to do now, before we go, is we're going to talk about the factions that we don't have, and we're just sort of judging by the artwork and the names and stuff, which 3 we think we would most want to play. If we were going to pick 3 out of the ones that we don't have, which ones would be the most interesting to us? So Isaac, you can go first.
So my third is the Shapeshifters. They're called the science fiction double feature. They sound cool because it sounds like you could like copy somebody else's like character they have out.
Oh yeah.
Because they could like change into them or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
if somebody was playing the dinosaurs, maybe you could copy King Rex
Yeah,
or something.
like that.
That's cool.
Sounds cool.
So the number 3 that I picked out was the Super Spies, and this has like a James Bond look to it. This is also part of the science fiction double feature. Is that what yours is part
Yeah.
of? So we might have to look at getting that expansion, because I think the Super Spies are pretty cool. My guess is they might have some really cool actions,
Yeah.
maybe some special actions that allow you to like sneak in and do stuff on other people's turns. I think that one would be really cool.
My second is the Werewolves. They're from the Monster Smash, and they sound cool because it sounds like they're just super powerful, and I'm a powerhouse dude. They
Yeah.
just take out other people.
Yeah, that one looks cool. The artwork on that one looks really cool too. So my number 2 choice is also a power one, and that's the Cyborg Apes. And they just remind me of like King Kong,
Yeah.
you know, and it reminds me of maybe like the dinosaurs. They're probably just like super powerful
Mhm.
and just go in and beat the crap out of people. So I think Cyborg Apes would be pretty awesome.
My number 1 is the Ancient Egyptians, because I chose them because I like mummies and pharaohs and stuff like that, and you can like come back from the dead like almost like the zombies. It sounds like.
I bet you they'd have some pretty cool powers.
Yeah.
My last one is sort of just because I'm an old-fashioned guy, the Cowboys. Because I like, you know, games with Wild West themes, and I just think it would be fun to play the Cowboys. I like Cowboys in pretty much any game, so I
Mhm.
think they'd be cool. Are there any other ones that stick out to you?
I thought this one looked pretty cool. It's the Kaiju, and it's just, again, powerhouse. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You just destroy
like a
everything.
Godzilla
Yeah.
kind of big dude coming in.
Titans, stuff like that.
One of the ones that stuck out to me was the Grannies. Just because it's kind of funny. It's like an old lady with a shotgun. So that would be pretty funny to play. The other one, too, this one makes me mad a little bit. The Sheep. Because a couple years ago, this company, AEG, sent out a survey and was asking people to provide feedback and input on what factions they would like to see added. And if you filled out the survey, they were going to send you this faction for free.
Oh.
And so I filled out the survey, and I was supposed to get the Sheep for free in the mail, and they never sent it to me.
Aw.
So I'm kind of mad, because I think it would be cool to see what that would be all about.
The other one I thought looked cool was the I'm not sure how you say it, Innsmouth. They're like swamp monsters and
Ugh.
fish.
Yeah, like Creature from the Black
Yeah.
Lagoon kind of deal.
So I feel like maybe it's harder to hit them because they're in water, so you can't really see them or something. So they
Yeah.
can like jump attack you.
That would be kind of cool. Well, so those are some of the factions that we don't have that, who knows, maybe someday we'll add it. But our box is getting pretty full, so if we get any more factions, we may have to move up to this giant big box.
Yep.
But, hey, anytime you want to come out and play with us, you're welcome to shuffle up a couple factions and play some Smash Up. See you later.